When I got here 12 years ago, it seemed like from EBV there were flights to at least 8 or 9 cities. Now I think we're down to 4. Is that just shit, stuff happens, or you know?
Stuff happens. Well, I mean, part of it's just the competition for flights. We are in constant contact. We are hopeful that this year we will land another airline that would be pleasing to people, that would provide access more to the East Coast. But it's competitive.
Are you talking like a discount carrier, like what Owensboro has, for example? What do you think the role of the Evansville Human Relations Commission should be?
I think its role should be what it is, to investigate claims of possible discrimination in the community, and to help promote programming that fights discrimination.
You don't have any current concerns with how they're spending their time, spending their money? I say that because it seems like some other people in the community have raised that.
Well, the issue at hand is, you know, whether the expense of about $3,700 to certain sponsorships was appropriate. I've gone back to Diane Clements and said, and she's walked me through the process, which was not very specific. So I've asked them to give me a specific policy on how to handle sponsorships in writing, and we should get that. You know, it may be in my email today. I don't know, but that's one thing that we will definitely implement. And you know, I've asked Diane to, like every other department head, we need to constantly evaluate the processes that we use. Something that worked 10 years ago may not work today. And it's just like your business. I mean, everybody's kind of reinventing a business plan, and each department has to do that, and we have to take blinders off and be open to new ideas. So that department doesn't concern me any more than any other department. I talk to Diane like all the other department heads on a regular basis, so I feel comfortable we can. They provide a really special service. If we defunded them, and those people who felt discriminated against had to go to Indianapolis to file their claim with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission or whatever it is, I mean, these are the people who are probably that have the least ability to do that. So I don't know, because people don't like the way we've spent $3,700 or you know what else. I don't think that we should just blow something up and say we need to scrap everything. Refinement, yes, and that's what we've asked them to do.
Could you talk a little bit about how you think Interstate 69 is going to have an effect on the city in the next 5 to 6 years as we get more closer toward an actual Evansville to Indianapolis link? And also, could you fill us in on any contact the cities have with the state or the feds in terms of a bridge going into Kentucky?
The bridge, we were at a meeting 2 weeks ago in Henderson, and there's just like, I don't think there was any specific commitment by the feds yet on you know, whatever $1 billion number they need to build the bridge. But I would tell you there's intense lobbying from both Indiana and Kentucky, both governments and sort of community volunteers to get that bridge built. I see I-69. I think Debbie Dewey from Gage may have been the first person to talk about the vision of a technology corridor because of the linkage of Evansville to Crane. So I think that's where the great potential is trying to spin off technologies that are developed at Crane into industries and businesses along 69. I just see it as a huge potential for the region.
Do you think we're going to have a bridge?
Yeah, I don't know if it happened in our lifetimes, but yeah, I think we will.
Won't that have more to do with the governors than the mayors?
Absolutely.
The bridge.
Maybe have far more to do with federal influence than local influence. Yeah. But yeah, I think we will have a bridge. You know, I think you have to look back and say, you know, some people think we'd probably never have I-69. Mm-hmm. This afternoon, I'm spending the afternoon going on a tour of what's there, what's already out there. When we went up to Crane, when was that, February or March? It was I thought it was really cool to see all the way the dirt had all been sort of laid out. You could see a couple of entrance and exit ramps. I mean, that was very, very fascinating. I think I think once people see that, they'll realize that, yeah, we'll have a bridge too someday. I mean, it'll take 10 years probably. By the time you get all there's way too many moving parts to that. But there's a lot of drive on both sides of the state to make that, on both sides of the river to make that happen.
So what's the one issue is there an issue that's keeping you up at night at all?
There's no one burning issue that keeps me up at night. Yeah.
If somebody asked you, hey, what's the biggest problem the city's facing, what would it be?
I would say the opportunity with the long-term control plan, because it's going to be a burden to ratepayers. We're going to, the silver lining in that is that it will put a lot of jobs, create a lot of jobs, put a lot of construction workers to work. So, we're going to try and hire as many local contractors and local employees as possible to realize that. But that's probably it doesn't keep me up at night, but I feel good about our labor relations. I think we've gotten off to a really fast start with our bargaining units. The fire department the firefighters hadn't had a contract in 2 or 3 years.
What's been the difference on that? I mean, why are?
Well, having not been in the previous talks, I don't know, but I would hope it's our approach. With the firefighters, we got in pretty short order, we got a deal for 12, and we'll sit down with them very shortly to start discussions about 13 and beyond. In each case, I came to each first meeting. I said, listen, we have a new cast of characters. We have a new style, a different approach. We will disagree on things, but the administration's commitment is that our disagreements will be professional and not personal, and we move forward. And the FOP talks happened. They were pretty painless. I mean, you saw the quotes from the FOP, which were quite pleasing. So I think that we haven't talked about the zoo. I would tell you that I really like the prospect of building the zoo out. I think, and I told Amos this when I came into office, I don't think we can rest on our laurels of Amazonia. We need to be looking at a community at what we can do next to take the zoo to a new level, greater level. And Amos has done a super job. He's engaged a consultant to help kind of come up with a long-term action plan. And from what I've seen, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. We'll probably start to have some public discussions on that in the next month or two, maybe, relatively soon. But I think it's a plan that people will really embrace. It's very exciting. Been working a lot behind the scenes on the meth problem. We will announce. On Monday. You'll see the Guardian for the first time. The tank. We're calling it the Guardian, but it is. It's essentially a neighborhood nuisance vehicle, and we think the police department tells us. I mean, they have a long list of requests of neighborhoods that want it implemented or want it used. So we'll unveil that on Monday for National Night Out, and it will be on display at National Night Out on Tuesday.
Do you have any discussions with Billy about a homicide issue? Why they seem to be up this year for some reason?
And I don't know this. I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but it seems like many of them are domestic disputes, and they would just tell you those are hard to. Somebody starts drinking or smokes a joint or whatever, gets out of control, and they can't help themselves, and that's difficult to stop beforehand. But they're certainly sensitive to it.
Anybody? Well, thank you all for coming in. Appreciate
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
This is kind of used as seeds of editorial column stories.
Yeah.
And look forward to having you up.
Yeah, and we look forward to coming in every quarter. So, hey, one just observation about unification. The cover of the story that was in a couple Sundays ago from the town of Darmstadt, the quote that was pulled out and said from Steve Carey that the city is balancing its books on the backs of for whatever it is, basically insinuating the city doesn't have money You know, and a day or two later, we announced we have a new 3-year contract with the FOP that says in year 1, they're getting a 3% rate. I mean, clearly, we feel like we're on solid financial footing. We just refinanced the Parks bond issues. Parks bonds, a couple months ago, the rating agencies were very favorable to our overall financial condition. That one comment sort of left without a response, kind of struck a nerve, because we don't think it's right. Just an observation.
And that's the sense that people in Darmstadt have. So, yeah, that was an interesting story. We both sides didn't like the story, so I figured we did okay.
Well, you know, and I mean, I buy into that theory generally as a former journalist, but I mean, I think it's difficult to tell a big story sort of one side at a time over a long period, because I'm not sure that if you're going to do installments here and there, I think that's fine, but.
Yeah, and that's kind of our plan. It's pretty much a weekly story this past week.
But he's talking about verbatim, I think.
Well, verbatim and just, for that to be pulled out in verbatim, one, because it's just wrong, and to go without, you know, someone from the city saying, hey, you know, actually, we have a AA minus, you know, things aren't that bad.
Plus.
Yeah.
Double A plus.
Yeah, AA plus. So, anyway, just an observation. It's, you know, we all live to tell about it. So.